Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Slant.
Yeah, but isn't this the unplugged version? I don't know. I think it's the unplugged version. All right, Paulie, let's go.
Hey everybody, Paulie here, back on the slant, and we have a nice special treat. We're going to break down the first part of season one. I believe it's season one. I think this is it, of Superman and Lois. The first 8 episodes in what is supposed to be 16 episodes, but I can't do it alone. I'm a big fan of Superman to begin with, and I'm, pleasantly surprised and a fan of this new season, but I cannot do it alone. So we brought in the best. We brought in Script Doctor to help us get through this and figure out what is special and what is interesting and what to look forward to in Superman and Lois. What's up, brother?
Hello. Oh, thank you so much for inviting me on the slant tonight to talk about this subject. This is going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if I'm the best, but I'll definitely try to live up to that.
We're off to the races with episode 2 called Heritage. When adjusting to their new lives in Smallville, Lois and Clark make an important decision concerning one of their sons. Tensions begin to rise between Lois and Morgan Edge. Lana Lang Cushing invites the Kent family over for a barbecue.
Better lock line, but
yeah,
not a great ending there.
So
that's
there,
part of the recap.
Yeah. So they so from what I remember from this episode is the father, Lois Lane's father is a general.
Yes, Sam
right?
Lane.
Sam Lane, really good actor. He's been around forever.
He was in Tom's favorite movie, Congo.
That's right. Oh my God.
He's the guy that takes care of Amy. And,
you never get away from a Congo reference. And they get a tracker on Captain Luthor, which here's a fight scene where Superman follows him. Because he's got powers, so to speak, right? They've decided to keep him home, and then this is their first trip where he flies off with his dad to the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah. So they decide we're going to homeschool Jordan for the time being until we can figure out the rate of which his powers are going to manifest. So Clark's way of doing that is taking him to the Fortress of Solitude. So he gets to kind of meet his holographic grandfather, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. And then also to Morgan's Edge, she's trying to release a story. They rewrite it. She doesn't like it, and she resigns.
Yeah. It was weird because, well, I'm just looking at from what I know about Lois Lane. If she wouldn't resign, she would make herself get fired because then she could claim a severance.
yeah.
Because she's like, if I'm going to leave, I'm going to make it an imprint on her bank account.
Right.
So I thought this was kind of like close to in character, but a little out of character. Like she'd never just voluntarily quit. She'd probably go to like the news outlets, like televised news, and say, my story was rewritten and this is the actual story, and say it on the air to the point where Edge has to fire her. Like that's what
that would have been cool.
That would have been really cool because it's basically like getting it out there. It's being a whistleblower. It's like, yeah, this trusted old lady, the Daily Planet of News, which has never had a political leaning, has finally done the unthinkable. And and as a reporter for this paper for probably at this point like 25 years, she's not going to stand for that type of behavior and make it well known to try and keep the Daily Planet honest. And that type of stunt should have got her fired, at least in my opinion. Should have got her fired that way, that it shows a bit more of her morals. But we still get her morals in this part of the story where, yeah, her article's rewritten. by Morgan Edge, assumed, or at least a high staff writer under his auspices. And she decides to just quit. So she hands in a letter of resignation, which just says, "I quit." Which, I mean,
pretty straightforward. I quit.
Pretty straightforward, no ambiguity.
Right. And now this guy's a good actor as well, playing Morgan Edge, and he starts. It's already established too in episode 1 and more in episode 2 is that he's in Smallville as well.
Yeah, it's alluded to that he's doing something in Smallville, because I believe Lana Lang's husband makes mention of it, that Morgan Edge is starting. He's opening up the mines. Kyle, he's opening up the mines to bring jobs to Smallville. Right.
Which in episode 2 there's a slight friction, because Kyle, even from episode 1, was like kind of giving Lois Lane a little heat. Don't be coming around with your politics. You know, those journalists and their politics. They go to the barbecue. Like, were you something like you looking for a tofu burger? Or something?
Yeah, it's a funny relationship dynamic, and it's one I hope they stay true to with what they've established, because Lois Lane, I mean, she has her own personal politics, but when it comes to her job and stuff, she tries to be as neutral as possible. And sometimes she needs Perry White or Jimmy Olsen or Clark Kent to keep her honest in that way, because she does it every once in a while. And she's an Army brat, so like if there's any political leaning on there, it's probably going to be more centrist, because you're in the public sphere as a journalist, but you're an Army brat, so you've seen a lot of different points of view and opinion.
That's a good point.
And I hope they keep it that way. But they're definitely having fun with Kyle, who's implying that she's probably like one of those radical leftists or whatever. And she's just trying to counter that. Yeah.
Right. I think he's just like, oh, this, Lois Lane's, I hear you.
Because she's a journalist. She's super liberal city. Or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So, earlier in this episode, she had gone with the night before to a city hall meeting, and she notices, or just twice before, this character who runs the Smallville Gazette kind of eyeing her, and it's established that she's a fan of Lois Lane's, and this is her newspaper, Smallville Gazette. And Lois Lane, after she quits, says, run it. Let me come work for you here.
Yeah. She has a story that she wants to get to the bottom of, and she's going to not only finish that story, but she's going to give it to the Smallville Gazette, the small paper that's run by this one woman. And that will be news. Like, once that story hits and that blows up, that's going to help that business. And it's kind of interesting. It's mutually beneficial, but it's doing exactly what Kyle wants, which is a big city person's coming into town to help reinvigorate a small struggling business with their skill set and their resources. And he has I like the irony of it, because Kyle has no idea that Lois is doing that. Like, even when he learns that she's working with the paper, he still thinks that there's agenda driven, and it's like, well, her agenda is to seek out the truth. Like,
old school fashioned journalism.
Yeah, the stuff we wish we had nowadays.
Well, who'd ever thought? And there she is. I mean, she lights up the screen every time she's on. And early on, I was like so not liking the Lois Lane actress. I'm like, can't they just switch actors? I want her as Lois Lane. But it's a great role. And I love that she's in this show, and I think they're here kind of rekindling, not rekindling any type of rum. It's just some memories, and even going back to episode 1 where he sees her for the first time in a while, he's got a warm smile,
Yep. Oh yeah, it's definitely like an honest type of friendship, so to speak. I think there's suggestions that they dated a little in high school, but Clark decided to go off to the big city, and they kept in touch as friends, but that was as far as it went. Yeah. And they both found their own families and happiness, and it's really cool to see that type of honest approach for these two. And I like the fact that they're not trying to do like a love triangle thing
No, that would be too
'Cause
easy.
you know
It'd be
that's-
too late, too lazy.
Yeah, it's low hanging fruit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they got a lot of photos of these two. This is the barbecue scene. I
Well,
love it.
they're the two most pretty ones of the cast right now.
You're not wrong. You know,
Yeah.
and not to give, not again, upon watching, Lois Lane, the actress, what's her name again?
Elizabeth Tulloch.
Elizabeth. Oh, that's my
Is that
dog.
your dog? It's okay. It's season.
She's got a different type of beauty, and it kind of grows. It's grown on me. I don't know what it is. I'm talking about
Well,
the
she's
Lois
got
Lane.
some great symmetry to her face.
Yeah, I think once you kind of accept the symmetry to her face and her eyes and her energy, you're like, wow, it's like a little Margot Kidder almost,
A little bit, yeah.
It was,
She doesn't quite have the feistiness, but she's playing a different Lois. So yeah,
yeah, the features are different. Like, Margot's features were a lot, the bigger eyes and, almost the same bone structure, as far as the
similar nose, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, here are the two brothers, and kind of what you said. They talk about their days. What'd you do? Oh, I went to
the Fortress of Solitude. You should go one time.
I got to meet our grandfather. What did you do? I got beat up and sidelined at football. Like he's starting not to be, because it was like really quickly it was established like that he was the jock in Metropolis. Like he was the number one guy. And
he was going to be the lead quarterback, I believe, on the Metropolis team. Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'm trying to remember as far as Captain Luthor that he damages his suit, Superman.
Yep.
To where is it episode 2 where he tricks him and says that you either got to save the city because my spaceship is
he's gonna use the spaceship to create like a catastrophic explosion or something of that nature. I think it's this episode.
Yeah, it's either you capture me or you save everyone.
Yeah, it's
And forgive us if it's not this episode. It's a little blurry, but
that's part of the strugglings with episodes like 2, 3, and 4 is that they tackle a lot of the same issues. They kind of blend together, and they also have some they have some filler that they try to make as setup, but it hasn't yet paid off yet. So you got to wait, I guess, till the end of the season to see if that's going to be the case. But for now, it just doesn't feel as vital information to retain for at the moment. But we get a little bit of flashbacks into this Captain Luthor's character that he comes from a world where humans are fighting against at least Superman at this point.
Good actor. Solid. I know he's been in a lot of other stuff, but he's
it's Wole Parks. Yeah,
he's interesting. And so but you're still, still with the information that they're giving us, you just don't have a full picture of what really is going on.
No, it's very much one little breadcrumb at a time, trying to piece together this story. And I mean, we're getting a bit like this breadcrumb here. We're getting like, oh, he had a relationship with the other Sam Lane, General Sam Lane, in the other world.
Yes, that's the one thing you get correct. To where doesn't he give Sam a dog tag?
Yeah, they've got the dog tag, and it's got I think 7334. When you flip it upside down, it's hell. That's a code number, and we understand that he's a soldier fighting for his species against Superman. So we understand why he hates Superman a little bit, because we see this darker Superman just really obliterate his fellow soldiers. And we don't know why, but we just know that he's fighting on this side, and and that we hear he makes a mention that his original Earth was destroyed, so it doesn't exist anymore. and he doesn't want that to happen here on this new Earth.
And the episode is called Heritage, so obviously we don't have any photos here of Jor-El, but the heritage, not only of the bloodlines, because he's even excited. Jor-El's even excited. Oh, you get to extend the Kryptonian, bloodline, hopefully.
Yeah.
But also heritage, with Smallville, I want to say, a little bit of what's
Legacy of the
established.
town. Yeah.
Legacy of the town. Yeah, man. Again, like I'm sold, and these ratings are pretty high. I mean, I know we're not doing ratings, guys, in this.
No, like the episode rating on the IMDb is pretty high for a show. The other part too, in this heritage, is we learn from, or at least the ghost of Jor-El, so to speak, tells Clark that Jordan's not going to have powers. That is some sort of like random type of burst, as far as they can tell.
Right. That the heat thing was just a one-off.
Yes, and they keep setting up this this one sort of conflict that like a character like Clark should easily have been able to squash, which is that like Jor-El says, Jordan will never be as strong as you, or Superman or a Superman like you. And Jordan kind of overhears this a little bit, and Clark should be instantly saying, well, I'm me, Jordan's Jordan. He doesn't have to be like me. He has to be the best of himself, and that's what I am. And like that should be the lesson he should be imparting on him like right away. It just seems like a reflexive thing for a Superman character to do, which is be like, yeah, you're half human, you're half Kryptonian. You're probably going to think that you need to be as great as I am with like the powers and the speed and all that stuff. But if that's not what it's about just being the best you can be, and that's what makes you, like, that's what Clark does, and that's what makes him Superman. And if that mantle were to pass to Jordan, that would be what he would do. He'd be just the best he can be, because that's what makes Superman Superman. It's not so much the powers, it's the personality and what they use, how they use those powers that they have. But they don't squash that right away. They just drag it out kind of in a convoluted manner where they don't even address it.
But for me, it doesn't kill. The show for me, as far as like
no, it doesn't kill the show for me either. It's just one of those like eye roll moments for a moment. It's like, okay, really, you're gonna dwell on this? Okay,
right? Yeah. I mean, and we talked about that. There's a couple things that they dwell on. It's like, and maybe it's just to stretch out to the 16 episodes. I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know, because I see this premise. I'm like thinking, just in my head, just racing. Like, there's all these great stories you could address on an episodic nature, while also creating like that serialized format. Like the first one, I would think for Clark to do is like, okay, so your heat vision triggered, so let's try and figure out how you triggered the heat vision so that we can control it, and like all the fun experiments you can do, which is similar, something that you can draw on from what we were talking before about like the Smallville episode when Clark finds his heat vision. Jonathan Kent gets a scarecrow and a pump and other things. Like, okay, let's try and figure out how you activated this so you can know how to not activate it accidentally. There's those types of things that you can kind of play around with and do it in a more different way. Which they kind of get to, I think, 4 episodes later. Beyond this, they start tapping into that a bit more. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. So let's.
Yeah. All right. The 3rd episode is called "The Perks of Not Being a Wallflower," which I think is a play on words of a movie from a few years ago. Perks of Being a Wallflower. I don't know if there's any writers that are connected to that, but I was like, what is that?
Yeah, I think there's a movie called The Perks of Being a Wallflower, or at least a short story.
No, it's a movie. It's a movie.
It's definitely a movie.
And I was just wondering if was there a what the connection was by this title, because that's almost like a wink to to that movie. But anyways, I theorized. Clark shares some of his Kryptonian history with Jordan and Jonathan during a family breakfast. Meanwhile, Lois and Chrissy dig deeper to uncover the truth about Morgan Edge.
Makes it sound like the whole episode for Clark's side is just him at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
He actually does stuff in this one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So, Yeah, what do we have here?
I don't remember this shot. Oh wait, yes I do. This is this is the episode I think where we get confirmation that one of Morgan Edge's assistants has Kryptonian powers.
Right. The actress is named Stacey Farber.
Yes.
So yeah, you are correct. You are correct. And
it has something to do with what they're mining in Smallville. Like this is where the Lois Lane investigation kind of bridges over into a new plot thread for Superman. So because isn't there also like is this the episode with the missing son? Like the woman comes to the Smallville Gazette to say her son's missing. He worked at the mine at another mine somewhere and went missing and left weird voicemails. I think that's the one.
There she is.
Yep.
What I'm also trying to remember was when the kid who he has a fight with in the episode 1 goes away with an arm injury, and he comes back later with some powers because at the end of the day, Jordan did zap him a little bit.
Oh, okay. So the kid that he has a fight with was Lana's boyfriend, who's a big black guy.
Right.
One of the other kids at the party,
the
was
Asian
on the football team, the Asian kid, he had nothing to do with that part, but he, because he has a broken arm and he's like getting like the shakes, so to speak.
Yeah.
So something's wrong with what's going on with him.
Right. That was pretty cool.
And I think he's slowly like deducing that it might have had something to do with Jordan in that explosion, but he's not 100% sure yet. But he's freaking out.
Yeah, I'm not sure when he's reintroduced in this episode. I don't know if it's this episode or what. Let me see, episode 3. Refresh my memory here a little bit.
I think this one where he starts it, but nothing's really happened yet. And I think this is the episode where Clark fights the first of the sort of like weird Kryptonian people, because one of them goes after Lois as she's snooping around one of the facilities. Because this is the shot of, I think, Lois in a hotel room somewhere. And Clark's fighting that big guy, and they're like throwing each other around like Schwarzenegger does with the T-1000, so to speak, just decimating that room. And then I think this guy, he goes unstable and dies. I think that's, I'm remembering.
So, looking at some of the just notes of the episode here, they open up the episode with a painting scene where they're painting the house, and they have a really nice moment. Again, it shows you what a good family they are, how very loving they are, and then Clark, gets an alert in his head and goes and saves a bridge, I believe, in China.
Yes.
And this bridge collapses, and he like holds it up, and you see this Chinese fisherman just like, oh shit, and then he looks up
waves to him.
waves to him. That was cool.
Yeah, that's Supermanish. Yeah.
Very Supermanish. Yeah.
Is this also the one with the Toyman, or is that next episode? Gosh, I really wish these weren't blurring together so frequently for me.
Right. Which might be, a good and bad thing, because I just remember it all being very enjoyable, but like you said,
no, this one doesn't look like this one has the Toyman in it. No, that must be later.
So this one is where Jordan tries out for the football team.
Yes,
because he's got confidence, and obviously there's friction with Jonathan, and he's like smashing dudes.
Yeah,
and he's the little guy,
the little engine that could.
He levels actually the boyfriend, now ex-boyfriend of Sarah, the Lana Lang's.
They broke up. Sarah has quit the cheerleading squad, which her mom coaches.
Right, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So they have a little strife. I think that's where they're really showing like that family's not really all together.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they also allude to the father having problems with
Hmm.
alcohol because as the captain of the fire department, he's seen a lot of tragedy, and
Hmm.
that wears away at your soul, so to speak.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's very understandable, but it's but what we're seeing here is a vice where he's not reconciling with that or exercising those visuals the healthiest of ways. He's and you can kind of also tell he doesn't really want to do this job anymore, but he has to because he has that responsibility, which is an interesting character trait to give him, is like a sense of responsibility to his job, to his community, but he's kind of not paying attention to being responsible for his self, his family, and his health, so to speak, by going down, a path where he gets drunk and it causes his eldest daughter Sarah to cry when that happens, and
Hmm.
it hits, and it's an interesting and trait, and it comes about a bit more honestly and like a byproduct of his career, as opposed to just like the lazy habit. He's experimented with drugs and alcohol in high school and just never stopped, so to speak. Like this one is a bit more like, no, the job's getting to him, and this was one way for him to kind of relieve stress, and now it's becoming more of a habit as opposed to just a once in a while thing, and that's where it gets in. That's where you get into your dangerous territory in that area.
And reading the notes of this episode as well, no Captain Luther at all in this episode. Just the goons of Morgan's Edge. I want to
Yes,
say Morgan's Edge.
Morgan's Edge.
Morgan. What's a like? It
You
sounds
get,
because the name sounds like a freaking
well, it's
bank
got the
or
same syllables and initials as Midnight's Edge, so
there you go. There you go. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's funny, man. That's funny. Um, so yeah, it in it, and that's I think those are the main notes. Besides, like you said, her ramping up the investigation. Um,
yeah, she's getting closer to like another step closer to finding the truth, and it looks like Morgan Edge is gonna pull his secret weapon a little early to try and silence Lois. And I think
mhm,
this is the one where her car gets destroyed, I think, and now they have to share the family
mhm.
truck, right?
Right, right. Saying according to this one breakdown of the episode, the highlights for them was Jonathan and Jordan, the two characters that people are probably the most skeptical about because of they're the teenage characters, but they're just so darn likable.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. They really are. I
They
mean,
really are, and I mean, I love watching their learning more about their relationship, because it's the relationship. They pretty much, these actors have come at it like this relationship is already developed, and now we're
mhm,
just kind of going through the motions, but we're injecting these new plot points into it, and we're just kind of like staying true to these characters as we experience them. So Jonathan is clearly um, focused primarily on just looking out for his brother to help him through the things of like more social interaction, more popularity. Um, like there's this great trust between these two, which is fantastic to see. Like I just love the fact that it's there. But you also have Jonathan being, the Superman Clark type character, the voice of reason, trying to be
mhm,
respectful to the parents because he's trusting in their guidance since they've made it this far with these issues that they're kind of dealing with on their own. And then you have
mhm,
Jordan, who is at the same time trying to make sense of things, but is also getting that extra boost and energy of confidence because he's got this new skill set that kind of makes him a little bit more protected than he ever was before. And so you have to, and that's like a dangerous thing where you feel like you have a sense of power, but you haven't quite grasped the sense of responsibility yet. And I like the fact that Jonathan has already kind of figured out that responsibility, but now that he's in this new situation, that responsibility is kind of being chipped away at by his attention to Jordan, but also not being able to get any attention from his parents as at the same time as well. Like there's been a shift for the moment, and we don't know at this point if that's going to be permanent because of Jordan's powers, or if it's just going to be something that is occupying the majority of the time for now. And once they get that situated, things will kind of return to a new normality, sort of thing. Like, because they don't know, and they're teenagers; they're not supposed to know. So I like the fact that they're playing with that dynamic, and I may be reading into it a bit more than what the actual writers and execution of the show is doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm fascinated with sibling relationships. Like, I've got a sister, so like I never had a brother, so I don't really know how that would work. But I know how it works with a sister, and it's definitely different. I'm pretty sure.
Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. The slant. The slant.
All right, Paulie, let's go.